one. There we go. So here we have Mike Maves and John Lag Erickson, the
All
usual
right.
suspect. Been a while.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be just a tad older,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Not
John
sure
and
what
I
it
haven't
was or
talked in years. Years.
yeah, it's been quite a while. I've always been a big fan of yours, Mike. I feel like you and I kind of came from the same pea pod,
Yeah. Well, I
with
was.
the vintage golf and Hogan and all that stuff. I think we're both kind of aligned with the belief that, golf swings and ball strikers were actually better in the past than they are now. I do believe that.
Yeah. I think they had to be. The game's changed so much, right? I mean, just everybody's the sort of creativity in the game is really just from inside 100 yards. I mean, there's not a lot other than hitting it far everywhere else in the golf course into the modern game,
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking that golf now is in, we have three stages. You have the hickory era, the kind of persimmon and blade,
Yeah,
balata ball that we all played. And now
yeah,
I call it kind of like super golf, where it's just, smash it a mile. And,
right,
um, because any game is really defined by the parameters, right? I mean, a basketball court, it's a certain size, the hoop's a certain size, the ball's a certain size,
right,
tennis, baseball, football, all the games that people love. But
right,
golf, for some reason, has decided to change the parameters of the game. So now the courses are having to get longer to
yeah,
accommodate the ball going farther, and the drivers, hitting the, Sam Randolph told me the ball's going 15% farther than it used to. So the
yeah,
6,900-yard US Open course, add 15%, now you're at 8,000. So the courses are not really long enough. I feel like the Golf 3.0 should be playing on 3.0 courses. In other words, just if this is what they want to do, then they need to have
yeah,
golf courses that accommodate, the modern game and the ball going so far and all that. I don't feel good when I see the modern clubs being played on the classic courses that are not appropriately designed for that. Like it's not, we just watched the Walker Cup and Cypress Point. I get to play there fairly often. I'll be
oh,
playing there again soon. And for instance, the 10th hole is a par five, and for me, it's a persimmon. I'm still a persimmon player,
yeah,
so a driver and a 2 wood or 3 wood into a greenside bunker and get up and down, that kind of thing. And
yeah,
the kids in the Walker Cup were hitting driver gap wedge. Think about that.
yeah. I know,
So I
I
mean,
know.
it's not only is it a par four, it's a extremely short par four.
Yeah,
So it feels disrespectful to me to see that Alistair McKenzie designing this course, positioning the where the bunkers are going to be based upon 250-yard drives, where there wasn't that much of a difference between the hickory era and the persimmon, the early persimmon and steel era, where the ball was going an average of a 250 for your good players and good amateur players.
right,
Therefore, the bunkering and the angles and the trajectories of the shots coming into the greens with long irons. Typically, you would see long iron approaches with maybe more narrow but deeper greens to accept a lower trajectory shot. You can think of like 10 and 11 at Augusta were designed for long irons coming in there. You kind of skip them in, and the
yeah,
par fives on the back at Augusta, because people know those holes, would be wider but not so deep and protected in the front. So it's really is a real risk and reward when you're coming in there with a low trajectory shot,
right,
right? You kind of like, oh my gosh, here's Sevy back there with a 2 iron coming into 15, and it's like he's got to hit this
right.
just right. But I mean, it's not very dramatic when they're chipping an 8 iron in there. It's just kind of like, it doesn't. It's
Well,
not
I
yeah,
got,
really.
you know what? There isn't, or I can't think of another sport where, like you say, those parameters have been compromised. I mean, you could say baseball, but but you got the aluminum bat. But when you get to the, like we
big
said
leagues.
before,
You're not you.
you're using the
You're
steel, you're
Yeah.
using the wooden bat, and
Well, that's the case for bifurcation of golf, right? I mean,
yeah,
I think that there's nothing wrong with having uh, two sets of equipment and rules, because I mean, it's also a bit of an ecological disaster too. I mean, committing all of the land and water and everything else to stretch these golf courses out to match up with how far the golf ball is going. And I mean, we've been talking about this for quite a few years, but it really is a very different game than the game that we learned. It's just night and day, and I don't know what uh, the other issue that you have too, also with the driver, is that once you're swinging it over 110 miles an hour, guys are swinging 120 miles an hour. Now the driver is given a guy who can swing that fast also a huge uh, uh, advantage over guys that don't quite get it up to that speed, because you got that trampolining that happens.
Boom,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that makes it a little bit unfair. I mean, great, a guy can swing that fast, but that's a skill. I get it. That's a skill, but it shouldn't eliminate everybody else from having an opportunity to compete. I mean,
Yeah, but
it
see,
was more interesting when guys could win all kinds of different ways.
right,
Yeah.
but what you're missing, I think what you're missing out there is that there was a compromise. So if you were going to swing that hard, the likelihood of
No,
you hitting it on the screws was not
right?
as high as somebody who's swinging under control, right? So if you had guys, right? So
Yeah.
if you had to
Screws.
hit it,
Well,
that pinpoint, and you're going to swing out of your shoes and jump up and twist and shout and do all this, you might even,
well,
the likelihood
everything.
of the ball staying anywhere on the golf course is probably slim to none.
Yeah,
So
well,
I
everything's
find it
engineered to go straight and far.
right.
That's
So
that's what's built
one of the
into it.
one of the things that I was talking to Larry Bobka, who's a old school designer, is that the new ball, they took a lot of spin out of it, right?
Yeah,
So when you watch Nicholas hit the one iron at Baltusrol, for example, to the elevated green, right?
right.
He couldn't do that today with a Pro V1.
No, it wouldn't behave
It
that
wouldn't
way
get
in the
it wouldn't
air.
get the rise, it wouldn't get the check, it wouldn't do, you know what I mean?
Right,
It would just go further,
right.
you know. So it is a completely different game in the sense that
Yeah.
even
If you look at
strategically
say
you have to
auto
adjust to that.
racing, if you look at auto racing, you've got NASCAR, you've got Indy, you've got drag racing. You can pick and choose which version of it you want. I don't really have a problem with the modern game itself if that's what people want to do. I mean, sure, you want to go play 8,000-yard courses or 7,600-yard
Yeah,
courses with frying pan drivers and plastic golf balls. Have fun. I mean, it's not my thing, but I don't have a problem with people that want to do that. I think the USGA probably made a calculated mistake when they allowed metalwoods in the first place back in the 80s, the early 80s.
yeah,
Baseball still using wood, cricket still using wood. Those are the stick and ball games that are bigger games than golf. Okay. Baseball, stayed with wood at the show. In the big leagues, now college, they have metal.
yeah,
Um, if you go down to, I mean, amateur baseball is basically softball, right?
If
I
you
mean,
play
yeah.
amateur baseball,
Well,
you probably won't have. You're only going to get to a certain point, like little leagues, pony leagues. You get like single A ball where guys are like, there's no like
but I
the
think I
Cape,
think the
the
minor
Cape.
leagues are still using wood. Is that would
Yeah,
you
the
know that?
minor leagues use wood.
oh, the
You're
minor
playing
leagues of Major League Baseball,
Yeah.
like
in the
like
Cape
the
Cod
farm
League,
teams.
the Cape Cod League, which is pretty much an amateur circuit. It's all wood. There's no aluminum bats.
Yeah. I think the USGA probably missed that. They didn't see it coming. I mean, Now, the other thing would be the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour could have said would in the show. The USGA can allow anything that they want for amateur play, that sort of thing, right? I mean, if your weekend golfer wants to go out there with forgiving clubs and all, that's fine. But when you
Right.
go to the pro level, like the PGA Tour, probably should have departed with the USGA and said, at the show, this is what we do. Would stay with the tradition. If the PGA Tour didn't do it, maybe the R&A should have done it, or in Australia or something, and kept the parameters of the game correct so that the classic courses, which we should all be so thankful for that they built these courses, because I mean, try and get land permits to build a golf course at Pebble Beach or something now. I mean, not going to
Right.
happen.
Right.
So they design these great courses for us to enjoy and to be played properly with appropriate gear, like any other sport. I mean, you could play basketball with a volleyball. I mean, you could, right? I mean, theoretically, I want to
Yeah.
be able to palm it. Hey, make it smaller so I can palm it, so I can
Right.
maybe lower it down a little bit, because I'm a weekend guy and I want to be able to dunk like the guys in the NBA.
Right.
Make it fair for me too, because it's all equality or whatever. I just think that the pro game, I'm a professional player, so I represent that, mindset and ideology of the pro golf. But when I watch TV now, if I watch golf, I feel like I'm watching like Major League Baseball players playing softball. Like
Yeah.
it's a mismatch. You've got real
Yeah.
skilled people. They're playing softball, and it's like it's still a game. The best team's going to win. The best players are going to do well, but the game that it wouldn't quite fit right. And I think that that's what's sort of happening, and that bifurcation conversation probably needs to happen more at this point, because I think it's really gotten just carried away. At this point.
Well, the thing is, I think when they you know uh, let the horse out of the barn with this, they just don't know where the appropriate point is to stop it, because I don't know that they imagine that the game would get this far out of hand when it comes to distance and so on. But the other thing is too is I mean, the ball is one thing. They can roll that back a bit, but the uh giant driver heads, and the trampoline effect. If you reduce the size of the driver head, and you eliminated the thin faces and just said, look, we got to go back to zero trampoline effect, at least in the achievable swing speed range, right? So if you did that, you would definitely add skill back. When the metal drivers first came out, they weren't uh, uh, that much different than wood. They hit it the same. Here, I've got here. I've still got my
Pittsburgh,
old.
That's a Pittsburgh persimmon, isn't it?
No, that's my Langert. My Langert Tour de Force. Remember those?
Yeah. But see, here's the thing, though. Like 98, 99, they went after that core, which is coefficient of restitution, right?
Oh, right.
But right now, you're only getting 0.83. You're only getting 83% of what you could possibly get. And there's still, right? You're not getting a 1-for-1 rebound right now.
Right.
It's limited to 0.83.
Remember these grips, John?
Yeah.
The classic cord? I won't take it off. Yeah, oh my God. I just wish they still made that. Isn't that funny?
These are the best grips ever made, no doubt. George Knudson used them, right?
It was so
Mo had
great.
some on his clubs.
I tried to, but if I could find someone with some new old stock of that, I'd be hauling up the.
Yeah, but again,
yeah, I've got them all in my playing set. Yeah.
If you say, okay, we're gonna roll the ball back, right? So you're addressing that one variable, right? But
Right.
nowadays, it's all geared to how much further, how much more distance you can squeeze out of whatever.
Yeah.
So it's physical fitness, it's this, it's
Yeah.
swing technique, it's everything else. And
Right.
you roll it back, and the guys that are going to benefit are the guys that are long already.
Right.
Follow me? It's not going to affect a guy like Rory.
Well, and
It's not
I
gonna.
think there's something else. Like if I actually think about the game right now, I'm going back and I'm looking when I'm out there playing golf courses that I used to play when I was a kid, and or when I was, let's say I was 30, and now I'm 58. I'll be 59 in April, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, I could probably give my 30-year-old self uh, uh, a run for my money if I was my 30-year-old self was using the old equipment. So I'm sitting there going, the only thing that's really done is for an old guy like me is it I play the courses I was playing when I was 30 from the same tees and the same way. And just I'm a little older and I can't swing it as hard. So part of the game, I'm sitting there going, well, I can still enjoy the courses and play them almost the same way I did, even though I'm older and slower. But it just tells you how crazy it is, how different the whole thing is. Like a couple of times this summer, the course that I play all the time, I got out. I used the old irons a lot. I didn't play the. I played better with the old stuff. But with the driver, honestly, I'm thinking I had my Titleist Tour models. I had to be at least 35 yards shorter. 35 yards. That's a long, long way.
Yeah, 3.5
And
clubs. Yeah.
I'm going, man, this is really and there's two things going on there. There's all the technology in the head, but the other thing is too, to really wail at it the way you do with a new driver, you're taking a hell of a chance because it could go anywhere. Whereas you can get away with so much with the new one. Like I'm like, it's easier to keep it on the golf course. That's for sure, right?
Well, talking about equipment. So the new thing, and it's really not quite that new. I mean, when I was in the industry, like the King Cobra made a killing, right, by simply
Yeah.
making a 44-degree pitching wedge, basically a 9 with a P on it, right?
Oh, right.
So
Yeah.
guys, you come out here, oh
Th-
man, I'm
th-
killing these things. They don't realize,
Right.
and they're selling like hotcakes, right?
Right. Well.
A couple of things is by juicing up the loft, right, with
Right.
the new ball, you're really a lot of these people aren't generating enough spin
Right.
to play the golf course properly.
Well, I
So
was.
when they get to like a 7 iron, the ball's going knee high, you know.
Well, I mean,
And I'm talking about the average guy. I'm not talking about pros are going to play traditional lofts, right?
well,
But,
and I'm playing with the older gear, say like a early '70s, the first Apex. I was playing those for a little while, and my buddies are playing with their gear, and they're trying. Oh, what'd you hit? I'm like, I hit 5 iron, and they're 5 iron, and they're hitting 8, and I'm going, well, my 5 iron, I'm hitting it like a buck 60, and but the thing is that you've still got loft you can use when you get into the 2 iron. So they've just notched the whole thing down and eliminated a part of the bag, so you have to carry 4 wedges.
right.
That's another thing. I mean, maybe it was better when there was you didn't have 60-degree wedges. I forget who was saying it. Was it Faldo was saying that the game would be better if they stopped at 56 degrees with
I,
the
I would
wedge.
agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think everybody learned. I mean, you learned if you're coming from the era before there was a 60, you could work miracles with a 56. You can make it a 60. You can make it a 62. You learn how to do these things because
Yeah.
you didn't have a choice.
Well, we used to open the face up, right? Use the
Exactly.
bounce. And, I mean, that was part of
Right.
the skill set of
Right. Right.
You
what you would do.
you
Right.
just grab a 60 and go just swing normal, right?
Yeah.
If you look at golf, if you look at how courses were designed, let's say the par 72 and you have the 10 par 4. I mean, you're going to have 10 par 4s, right?
Yeah.
And those should be divided up typically between, say, 3 long iron approaches, 3
Mhm.
mid iron approaches, and 3 short iron approaches.
Yeah.
Right. And one,
Yep.
the one extra would either make it a long course if you had 4 long iron approaches, it was Baltus roll or something. And if it was, 4
Right.
short iron approaches, then it might be
Drivable,
fine or
even
something.
drivable.
So
Yeah.
you would buy a set of clubs and it would have 2 iron through pitching wedge. And you knew that, as you developed your skill and you could get it out there 240, 50 yards, you were going to have to learn to hit long irons, meaning 2, 3, and 4 iron, and then the mids 5, 6, and 7, and the short
Yep.
8, 9, and wedge. And you would have to equally learn those skill sets, short irons and long irons. And of course, the acid test of a golf swing is really the long irons. And
Right.
when a driver, you have it on a tee, and woods are easier to hit than irons. And the ultimate acid test is a 1 iron. Can you hit a
Yeah.
1 iron off the ground and get that on a green? To do that, you have to have a great golf swing to do that. And I think that was a real badge of honor to be able to be a player that would carry a 1 iron and be able to use it effectively. I mean, if you could do that, you're in a different conversation now. You're a real golfer, a real player that can, strike a 1 iron. I'm sure, Mike, you can hit a 1 iron. I've seen your swing. It's good,
Well,
Put it out
I never carried one. I stopped at the 2 iron. I did have remember the AccuForm blades? They were just like a slab.
Yeah.
I had a 1 iron AccuForm 1 iron. I didn't hit it off of the fairway very often, but it wasn't in the bag very long. I stopped at a 2 iron most of the time, and then I carried a 5 wood, and my 5 iron went a little longer or my 5 wood went a little bit longer than my 2 iron.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like what I wasn't getting any more out of a 1 iron.
Yeah,
But
you could get the 5 wood or 4 wood up in the air more,
yeah,
and it higher.
yeah,
And so it'd be like a 1 iron. To me, I always carried a 1 iron because I used it off the tee a lot.
yeah,
That was, if I needed to, I could put it on a tee. I couldn't hook a 1 iron, period.
no,
So what I would do is I'd
right,
aim down the left side of the fairway
yeah,
and just hit a bullet. And if it
yeah,
leaked a little bit, I'm in the middle. And if it leaked a lot, I'm on the right side of the fairway. But very rarely would I ever miss a fairway with the 1 iron. When I was on tour, in the age that I played, especially in Canada, the courses were tight. And I just did a video recently about Wolf Creek where we'd play the Alberta Open. And
yeah,
I mean, it was,
yeah, yeah,
just super narrow courses. And 1 iron was a great tool to have on those kind of courses because I could still get it out there 220 yards,
yeah,
very
yeah,
playable in
yeah,
play. And hit that little fade out there. So I used that all through college, all
yeah,
through my pro career. And sometimes I would skip the 2 iron. I'd carry a 1 and I'd carry a
yeah,
3 iron and
3,
a 1 iron. But like when I won at the Windsor Charity Classic, I carried driver, 2 wood, 1 iron.
wow, nice,
So I would use a 2 wood as
yeah,
basically a strong 3 wood, right? And hit it
yeah,
off the fairway.
yeah,
But I would also use the 2 wood because I could work it right to left off the tee. So
yeah,
it was kind of like 2 drivers. So
yeah,
I could draw it, and I put a shaft in that was just slightly looser, a little bit looser than my driver, so I could turn it right to left. The driver was always straight or a fade, low,
yeah,
down, and that was just the shot that I would hit. And if I had to work it right to left, hit the 2 wood off the tee,
yeah,
and then the 1 iron if it was narrow, boom, because like Hogan talked about, the most important shot is the tee shot.
Right.
because that sets up the
Sets
hole,
everything up.
right? Sets
Yeah.
everything up. And in the era that I played, you had to hit it in the fairway, especially on the Canadian Tour. If you were missing fairways, you were missing cuts. I mean, you weren't in contention. I mean, this whole idea of hitting 50% of your fairways and being in the leader group on Sunday, I mean, that just didn't exist. There was no such thing as that
The
happening.
I think the other thing is too on the Canadian Tour, the golf courses that were hosted those events, uh, they wanted to protect the course. Like they didn't want you guys showing up there and shooting 62.
No.
I think so. I think that they with the on the big tour, the PGA tour, the way they manage manicure the golf courses, these guys are getting a similar type of golf course, similar green speed, similar length of rough, similar everything, because the tour has such control over that. When you're the tour that you were playing, the golf course wants to put a beautiful product to look at out there, but they don't really want you guys going low there. So growing the rough and everything else. I think you were dealing with um, just other forces were deciding how tough they were going to make those golf courses for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the Canadian Tour was great in that, anybody could win out there. You had Jerry Anderson was really the best player that went through the Canadian Tour that I saw. I mean, people don't talk about Jerry, but I mean, incredible, incredible golfer and short hitter, a 240 guy,
I had a
just,
I played a money game against Jerry. It was
and I'm
long.
sure you took your money.
No, he didn't.
No?
But it was no. He. It was after he was off of the tour,
Okay.
and it wasn't me and him straight up. I had a partner, and it was me. My partner was Dan Greenwood, who was he was an assistant pro at that time at Heron Point. That's where we played, and it was Dan and I against Jerry and Jerry's caddy. And I think Jerry's caddy played better than Jerry that day. But
Wow.
Jerry had he got in a car accident, and that was the end of his career.
Wow.
He played when we played that match, he would have been sort of a fraction of
Yeah.
his former self, but I mean he was still great. But yeah, that's a whole different thing. A guy that was able to go as low as he went in Europe.
Yeah, he
And
had the European Tour record for the lowest ever shot. I think it was the Swiss Open or something. He's a 28 under or something crazy like that.
it might have been the European Masters or something.
European Masters. Okay, yeah, it was the European Yeah, it was the European Masters.
I think
Lowest.
Els finally beat his record. I think Ernie Els, I think, was
Yeah.
the one, but it was over 20 years, I think.
The point I was making though is that on the Canadian Tour, you could have someone like Jerry that could win playing against Kelly Murray, who was the longest hitter in the world. And I just,
Right.
had a conversation with Kelly recently on my channel.
Wow.
And Kelly was, talking about Jerry, and how he couldn't beat Jerry very often. Kelly won twice up there in the Canadian Tour, but Jerry would just won so many tournaments up there. And I remember going down to the Australian Tour and knowing about Jerry from the Canadian Tour, because I'd never heard of
Yeah.
him. I was American, never heard of Jerry Anderson. I go up to Canada,
Yeah.
this guy's just, on the leaderboard every week. He's just the same. He's in the top 5 every single week. If he's not winning, he's finishing second or third or whatever. I go down to Australia. I'm playing in the Australian Open, and I look up on the leaderboard on Saturday, and
Yeah.
there's Greg Norman, Jerry Anderson, and then Jerry's paired with Greg Norman the final round of the Australian Open at Royal Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a guy that nobody's heard of. And here, he's just that good of a player. And Norman was number 1 in the world at the time, and he's got to deal with Jerry Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that kind of golf where somebody's short and straight and precision golf, doesn't make mistakes, calculated, Jerry Anderson and Kelly Murray, they could just bomb it, 50 yards by Jerry. Jerry's just going to pick your pockets, on those kind of courses because, typically very tight. We played at Brampton a lot. A lot of the tournaments were there, like the
Yeah.
Tournament Players Championship.
Yeah.
TPC was always at Brampton.
Yeah. They played I played a couple years in the Ontario Senior Better Bowl. That golf course hosts it, has hosted it for a bunch of years, but it's I think this year they didn't host it. It's moved somewhere, but that golf course is a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, good golf course there. Did you know Paul Henrik
No,
or
no,
John, his father? I think was the pro at Brampton.
no,
Okay,
no.
I thought
It's
you
a
might have run into them up there.
no. I get into Toronto. I played mostly in Niagara.
Okay,
And then I would get into Toronto and play some of the privates. Usually, they had a tournament. It was called the George S. Lions. All the golf courses would send their 4 top amateurs to represent the club. So that you always got to play great golf courses. So St. George's, Islington, Lambton, Weston. Those golf courses I played, but I only ever played golf in Toronto really in tournaments. So I didn't know members or know a lot of people there,
so what about Hamilton? That's between Toronto and Niagara?
Yeah. Yeah. Hamilton's 45 minutes from me. So I've,
Right.
Hamilton Golf and Country Club is amazing.
Yeah.
In Ancaster. Ancaster's sort of a suburb of Hamilton, right? So it's
Right.
Hamilton.
Yeah,
But
so many great courses. I loved playing Toronto National. I got to play there.
well, there's the National is one, and then there's the Toronto Golf Club. The Toronto Golf Club, they're both incredible, but very different. Toronto
Yeah,
Golf Club
I
is
think the Nationals where I played.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember it. Yeah.
Toronto Golf Club is phenomenal. I've played there a few times because now several of my good friends are members there, so they get me out there once in a while. It's an amazing golf course. A lot of the guys would come to the play the Canadian Open when they play it all the time at Glen Abbey, and they were more excited about sneaking out to Toronto Golf than they were playing Glen Abbey.
Right.
A lot of those guys.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, David Frost used to be hanging out at Toronto Golf Club all the time. I don't think he even probably hit 20 balls before he went out to play. He spent all his time at Toronto.
Yeah, they would.
Anyway.
They were doing that this year at Bethpage.
Yeah,
Everybody was heading to Deepdale. Anybody
yeah,
who had a hook,
yeah,
anybody who had a hook would go
yeah.
play Deepdale, just for the prestige, just to say.
The day that we had the match with Jerry Anderson, we were doing well, Dan and I, and we got kind of lucky. I hit a really lucky shot, but it was a funny story because we were winning. I hit a ball into a bunker, and there was like a hazard and bull rushes, like complete jail. And I had just a horrible lie out of this bunker, like I'm swinging down at it and everything else. And this is it's going to come out like an absolute rocket. But we're playing best ball, so I can take a chance. Well, Jerry parks himself right where I'm trying to hit, like right past the flag. He's standing right there, and I'm looking and I'm getting ready to hit this shot. And I'm going. Finally, I said, Jerry, I said, this thing is coming out like a rocket, and it's either going to hit the flag or it's going to hit you. So get out of the way. So anyway, it hit the flag and it went in. I hit the flag about 2 feet off of the ground, right in the thing, and it went. Wow. Anyway, so that was the but a complete fluke. But it was so funny because he was. I mean, we had a great day and he was a nice guy, but he really had every intention to distract me. There, it was just like I'm looking, and he just right there. And he knew that shot had to come out in there was just no way to get it out of the bunker and have it stop anywhere. So anyway, that was funny.
So just real quick, a little nerdy side thing. Now you've hit a lot of different Hogan irons, different sets. Have you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on some of the different Hogan sets? Like, I mean, I've pretty much hit about every of the known ones, from the sunbursts and the precisions to the power thrusts. You know,
I love the power thrust. You know what? There's only a few of the better. Like, I mean, Hogan made some mid-tier golf clubs too for regular golfers, more affordable sets. But excluding those, there's only a few sets that I didn't like. I didn't like the medallion. I don't know why. I didn't like that club. I liked all of the Apex models. The bounce sole, the 1 Plus, I loved. That was my favorite. That's by far my favorite.
Yeah,
but right after that, there was also a bounce sole that looked like the first Apex, but how the weight was distributed was almost opposite, and I didn't like that iron. But I mean, I like the power thrust. I like the precision. I like the yeah. No, they're great. They're great. And well, that's the best Mizuno blades were knocking that blade design off, right?
Mm-hmm. I think, you know, what was a knockoff of the power thrust was Spalding. The bird on the ball kind of had the shaved off toe. So it had that, you know, and the power thrust, you know, the weight's taken off the toe, right? With that shaved toe.
Yeah.
It kind of centered a little bit more. I mean, that's a real players club, right? The power thrust. I mean, you got to be a good striker to be hitting that thing, right? I mean, that's real.
The videos, the club that I was using on all those videos by the lake, the one I was using most of the time was a power thrust 6-iron.
Was it a power thrust? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's pretty. I mean, it really feels sort of clunky. You know what I mean? It's really just a beefy piece of steel. But I like that. I don't even know what was great about it. But I was on talking to Bradley Hughes about my learning golf and everything else. And until I was about 19, my golf clubs, my lie angles were all wrong, just not flat enough. So I got really good at full swing because the clubs that I hit the best were the clubs that had the least amount of loft on them. So I would go out the window practicing with my 4, my 3, and my 2 iron because I could get those to go on target, and I was missing left, and I didn't have anybody to say, hey, you know what, you're hitting you're hooking your wedges and pulling your wedges and all that's because your lie's wrong.
Yeah.
I just, you know, so this is just the way I came up, you know, and I was saying to Bradley, I was trying to ape a guy who was an old gentleman, great pro, who practiced on the practice fairway at Whirlpool in Niagara Falls. So I'm watching him hit it great. So I'm going, well, that's how he do it, right? And he's swinging like Hogan. And so I was aping that, but the only shots that came off really the way his came off were when I got into the long irons. And it wasn't until I was pretty well an adult that I got into a set of irons that really fit properly with the lies. So it's just a fluke of how I came up and learned the game, you know.
Did
So
you meet George Knudson at all, or get to see him play?
No, he was. It's interesting. Uh, he was coach or not coaching. He was teaching golf in the winters, right in my neck of the woods. He would come down from Toronto and teach in the basement of Brock Golfland. John White was a head pro, and he ran a golf school. And George Knudson came in as well. So it was years later that I was one of the guys that I play golf with all the time. His name was Chris Wilson. He was a pro. He's not a pro anymore. He's still a very, very good golfer. And he and I would play on the range and you know, show each other shots and everything else. And we were constantly agreeing on just about everything. Well, I had been reading Knudsen's book, and I'd been out the window on Hogan and everything else. And it turns out that Chris had been helping Knudsen run his winter golf school in the basement of Brock Golfland. I played golf with Chris for 10 years before I even knew that at all. So we're agreeing on everything because we're playing from the same playbook, right?
Right.
But no, I never met him. My sort of encounters were just all with Mo Norman.
Yeah.
So that was that. And it's interesting you mentioned Kelly Murray. I never saw Kelly do clinics with Mo, and he did a ton of them. Apparently, I remember it was the longest and the straightest was sort of a novelty thing that they had going, right?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, I've seen film of those clinics, but only of the Mo part of it.
Yeah, Kelly learned a lot from Mo. And you know, people say, "Oh, you know, Mo was a short hitter and all this." I mean, the longest hitter in the world was working with Mo. So you know, I don't know. Mo was not short. Mo was not a short hitter.
No, he wasn't. Even when he was older, he wasn't. And
he looks short though.
Yeah, well, I mean, the most people's exposure to Mo was at the tail end of his, you know. So him at the height of his power wasn't on film.
I've seen a swing. I have a swing of young Mo Norman, and it's not what natural, like when he was playing at the Masters and all that.
Yeah,
when he was down there with Snead and those guys, not the same swing that you see